Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hello, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, I'm going to be doing a slightly different theme. It's not with a client in this particular case, but recently, I say fairly recently, a couple of weeks ago, I spent a long weekend in Paris. And, I found, as a hypnotist that produces a podcast almost daily on hypnosis, I find inspiration for hypnosis almost everywhere. Books, movies, song lyrics, and the locations that I am in. So I thought it would be useful to do a hypnosis session inspired by some of the places and some of the iconic parts of Paris. Some of them are going to be well known, some of them less so, but I thought it would be a useful way to use it as almost like a hypnotic story, a bit of a metaphor to take you on a journey, but with the goal of providing some kind of insight or resources that are useful to positive change. So find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow feelings of any worry or tension to leave your body. That's right. Enabling you to go deeper and deeper, relaxed. Now, that's it. And as your physical body relaxes, just allow your mind to do what your mind does effortlessly, to play. And the favorite toy for your mind is your own imagination. Your imagination can send you on adventures, entertain all kinds of different scenarios and ideas. Within your mind, you can teleport to any place, at any time, instantly. In many ways, your imagination is a precursor to the metaverse, a place of infinite possibility and instantaneous movement. And I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine that you're on a plane. Maybe you've been on a plane many times, so you know what it feels like to be in the seat, maybe with a seatbelt, feeling your body on those seats. And maybe you can imagine there's people around you. You've seen the inside of a plane so many times, but just imagine that you're back there in a plane seat, hearing over the speaker that you're about to land in Paris. I want you to get a sense that whatever emotion comes up is exactly the emotion to feel as you imagine being in this place. Feel the bump as you can imagine the plane wheels touching down on the runway. And maybe it's being diverted so you can disembark from the plane and start walking through the airport. And maybe you've been to Paris before, or maybe this is the first time. It doesn't matter, because this is just your imagination taking you on a journey. Imagine that you've done whatever you need to do, collecting bags, going through the passport control, and then imagine you walk through the airport, down some escalators, to a train station that will take you into the center of Paris. I want you to get a sense that as you travel towards the city, different images, icons of what Paris means to you just pop into your head. Maybe it's the iconic buildings or structures like the Arc de Triomphe, maybe the Eiffel Tower, some of the palaces perhaps, but I want you to get a sense that you're moving towards that. Get a sense that you have a specific intention as to what you want to get from Paris. It's always good when you travel to have an intention, even if that intention is something as simple as creating magical memories. And they say that travel broadens the mind. But what does that mean if it doesn't mean to open your thinking to new possibilities, new experience, new ways of reflecting on yourself and who you are and what's possible for you? It tends to be the case that the most interesting people travel the most. So here in this place, a possible intention is to get some insight into who you are and what you want. I want you to imagine walking down the streets of Paris at night. There is no luggage, you've checked it away. Wearing whatever clothing you feel appropriate. And as you walk down the streets, see those unique buildings, those traditional, large, multi-stories apartments, the housemen. See the balconies, see the cafes quite often on the corner of an intersection. I want you to get a sense that this feels like you're in Paris. And I want you to imagine walking through the streets of Paris, perhaps towards the Eiffel Tower. Maybe you can occasionally see it in between the buildings. And then imagine at night seeing the Arc de Triomphe, well lit. Perhaps imagine sitting on a bench. And I want you to imagine this structure was created as a celebration of a military triumph. And I want you to think through your life and to reflect on your biggest triumph so far. If you were to create a celebratory structure to commemorate your biggest achievement, your biggest triumph, what would that be? Because sometimes when you think back to your biggest triumphs, isn't it the case that you're reminded of what you're capable of? You're reminded as to just what it's possible for you to do. And it stands to reason that anything that you've done in the past is therefore possible for you to do again. Think back to that moment and let's access that moment. Think back to your biggest triumph, your biggest accomplishment, You're just sat on a bench looking at this building, but in your mind, you're already in your body of that time that you accomplished your biggest accomplishment, your biggest triumph. Reliving that moment, re-feeling how good it felt. And normally a triumph is because you do something beyond what you think is capable for you. Maybe you exceeded your own expectations. Maybe there's a sense of, if you could do that, what else is possible for you to accomplish? I want you to imagine that your biggest accomplishment is just the starter of a main course, and that main course is bigger than you ever think it would be. And you might be thinking of meat like steak or ribs, or a large salad or something else. But just imagine that that main course was way bigger than you ever thought it would be, and maybe your biggest accomplishment isn't in your past, but it's in your future. And entertain the idea of what that could be. What are you capable of? What would you want to do? What would you want your legacy to be? What would you want people to think? That was such a magnificent accomplishment that it is deserving of a statue or a structure just as impressive as the Arc de Triomphe. And you don't need the validation or the recognition of other people, because sometimes the biggest accomplishments are the battles you win with yourself. Finally breaking a bad habit, finally making a big decision, finally unlocking that resource that was there all along to do what you were always capable of. And as you entertain that idea as to what it's possible for you, I want you to get a sense that all the resources required for your biggest and most impressive accomplishments are being unlocked within you. These are no longer possibilities, they're destinies, and all you need to do is to set your intentions and do whatever is necessary. Learn from your mistakes, reflect on anything that doesn't quite go to plan, but to unlock that tenacity, that determination to keep moving forward, to have that resilience, to be able to move forward, to keep moving in the direction that you know that you're capable of. You can picture it, you can see yourself like you're someone else doing something of magnificence, something that would inspire you to want to do whatever it is that you're destined to do. Feel how good it's going to feel in advance of doing that thing, of knowing what it would be like to finally pursue something grand, something that at the end of your life you can look back on with pride, satisfaction, and significance. It's time to leave this place. As you now remind yourself that you are on a bench still looking at that structure, the Arc de Triomphe with the impressive lights, maybe seeing the Eiffel Tower far off in the distance, and then get a sense that this is just one of many things in Paris, and imagine it's a different day. And imagine there's a journey, a different journey to a different part of Paris or beyond. I want you to imagine that you're arriving in the town of Versailles. Imagine approaching a palace perhaps bigger than any palace that you've seen before, getting a sense of what it would be like to see the awe of such a huge building. But now is not the time to explore the building. Now is the time to explore the gardens. And imagine that this garden has so many different sections, so many different styles, fountains, waterfalls, impressive trees. I want you to get a sense that each part of this impressive garden is simply a metaphor for the different parts of your mind. And all I want you to do is to imagine going around the garden of your mind and appreciating what is good and planting seeds of new ideas as to where you want to take your life. Imagine walking around this stunning palace gardens with a handful of seeds, and imagine in different sections just sprinkling these seeds, knowing that nothing will happen for weeks, if not months, but then maybe if you were to visit this palace again, who knows? The seeds that you've dropped or sprinkled could be plants, be trees. And isn't that what goals are? Doesn't every goal start with just an intention, an idea, a concept of something that's possible? And these seeds get planted in your mind. The ones that take root are the ones that you water, provide sunshine, more attention, more thought, more planning before you do whatever's required to really enable those ideas to fully form. And not every seed of an idea that you plant will turn into something. But as you walk around these impressive gardens of Versailles, imagine that your mind is more impressive than the most beautiful garden in the world. And like the Palace of Versailles, your mind has many parts. Parts that represent your childhood and memories, your dreams, your ambitions, your fears, your worries. And the more you tend to your garden and you work on your mind, the more that your whole life elevates. And what if you could make your life more impressive than the most beautiful palace on the planet? I want you to get a sense that that's what you're doing. Here, in these gardens, it's taking out the weeds, planting the seeds of an idea, rowing down an impressive lake, to get a sense of gratitude and appreciation for just how beautiful your mind is. I want you to get a sense that it's now time to leave these gardens as you find yourself back firmly in the present, listening to my voice. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes as you get a sense of what it's like to be firmly back here in the present with ideas about what you can do to make your life a palace, an impressive accomplishment. That's right. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.